elections will be free or fair. In an interview with the BBC, Mr Abu Bakr said events in previous by-elections suggested the government might attempt to manipulate the vote by deploying members of the security forces to harass voters or the opposition. He called on the international community to help.
We are working hard, and that's why I appeal to the international community also to work together with us to make sure that the elections are not only seen to be free, fair and credible, but they actually are.
The British Prime Minister says she has begun discussions with other party leaders to find a way forward on Brexit after surviving a vote of no confidence in Parliament. On Tuesday, Theresa May's Brexit plans were categorically rejected by Parliament. The vote of no confidence was called by the opposition Labour Party. Mrs May expressed disappointment that the Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, had not chosen to take part in discussions on Brexit, but said her door remained open. She said the need to find common ground was urgent. Britain is due to leave the EU in just over 70 days. You're listening to the World News from the BBC. Prosecutors at the International Criminal Court in The Hague have made a last-ditch appeal against the release of the former Ivory Coast President Laurent Gbagbo. On Tuesday, Mr Gbagbo was cleared of charges of crimes against humanity and other offences during post-election violence in 2010. The judges said Mr Gbagbo would remain in ICC custody pending the decision of the appeals chamber. The authorities in the United States have arrested a man who they say was planning to attack the White House. The man, Hasha Jalal Taheb, has briefly appeared in court in the city of Atlanta in Georgia. An FBI agent said Mr Taheb was arrested in Georgia when he tried to exchange his car for weapons, including an improvised explosive device and an anti-tank rocket. An informant had contacted the FBI to say Mr Taheb had been radicalized. The US Attorney for the North District of Georgia, B.J. Pack, said members of the Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF, had worked together to arrest him.
The JTTF initiated the case after receiving a tip from the community. Because the FBI, the United States Secret Service, and numerous federal, state, and local law enforcement partners are active participants in the JTTF, all potential threats have been neutralized.
Representatives of farmers in the United States have warned they'll suffer more financial losses if the trade dispute with China is not resolved soon. The president of the Farm Credit Council, Todd Van Hoos, said after 4 years of problems, such as depressed commodity prices, many are struggling to make ends meet. And scientists in the US and Britain say a common genetic disorder that causes people to absorb too much iron from their diet is causing serious health problems in far more patients than previously thought. Hemochromatosis can lead to diabetes, liver failure, and severe arthritis. And that is the latest BBC News.
Hello and welcome to Outlook, the programme where we take you around the world through the stories of extraordinary people. I'm Emily Webb. We start today with a groundbreaking moment in the boxing world. Last month, 33-year-old Patricio Manuel made history when he became the first professional transgender boxer in the United States. And although it was Pat's first fight as a man, he'd actually had a long career in women's competitions before then. Pat told me what it is he loves about being in the ring.
I really feel free. I love the strategy. I love the physicality of it. It really is, even all these years later, when I'm boxing or I'm sparring, it's really where I'm happiest.
Pat was born as a girl, but growing up in California with his sister and his mum, he was never happy with the label.
As a kid, my mind never identified with the term girl. Like, even in my constant running narrative in my head, I always imagined myself as male characters when playing as a child. I think I pretty much knew straight off the bat of what my identity was.
And was it quite an accepting environment at home?
I think there were unconscious, not necessarily intentional ways of policing both my sister and I's gender. For the most part, we were allowed to wear boys' clothes, play with boys' toys, but when there were special occasions, we were forced to wear dresses. I felt miserable being forced into a dress. It was incredibly uncomfortable, and I would look at myself in the mirror and I was kind of repulsed by what I saw.
But left to his own devices, Pat would turn to the movies, in particular martial arts and boxing movie classics.
always going to be partial to the Rocky movies. All-time boxing best movie would be Raging Bull. So it's a real big fan of Bruce Lee, pretty much any Bruce Lee movie. Also like some lesser known ones like The Magnificent Butcher, The Prodigal Son.
And what was it that you loved about them?
I just really loved fighting. I think I really, as a kid, looked up to the type of masculinity I would see in martial art movies. You know, you had usually a man who could take care of himself, protected other people, and also was a teacher. And I'm realizing how much that impacted me and is now my trajectory in life.
When you hit puberty and your body started to change, how did you feel when you saw that?
You know, puberty was really difficult for me. I really felt completely torn with my body.